Good morning, everyone, or good day, wherever you are. Welcome to SchreckTeck episode number 69. Now, if you're wondering, episode number 69 was unfortunately deleted. That was the one with Charisse Duncan, and we had such bad audio from our Skype connection that we had no choice but to actually delete it because nobody could understand it. But she'll be on again very soon, and we're sorry for the loss over there. And joining me, as always, is our co-host, our hostess, actually. Hey, Gina, how are you?
I'm just the girl on the side.
Yeah, with a nice mic.
I'm doing great, and it was a chaotic morning, Donna. Even we have our guest, and I'll introduce her officially. But I ran to drop my daughter off at a dentist appointment early, picked up coffee, came home, spilled the coffee all over my entire desk and chair. So I'm sitting in a wet chair of coffee, but it smells good.
I think we're getting a lot of echo somewhere. I'm not sure if it's you or Donna. If we can mute the Justin TV audio. I think it's
Mark's gonna. Hey, I really like having Mark with me, by the way. I should do all shows with Mark Ward with Film Dog Media.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Okay, Gina.
Yeah.
I think that was it. It's gone now.
Okay. So it wasn't, I was thinking, was that me on my new microphone? This is my old new microphone. Now, many of you remember, this is the microphone that used to sound like a train was coming through my office when we would be recording. So we are trying it again, but on my iMac, and Rick is convinced that this is going to be the answer.
It's the answer.
Perfect audio.
Yep.
Perfect. So welcome. And, we were kind of in the flurry of talking about the Olympics, and I want to introduce our guest, and then I'm going to get her opinion on a couple of these quick things. But today I'm excited because Donna Gilliland, many of you know her. She's just a brilliant woman, speaker, trainer, and geeky girl. Her and I, we always say we're soul sisters that found each other on Twitter, which is ironic. It was through Twitter as she was driving to a Speakers Association convention that we met. And Donna actually she is the guru. She's the go-to person when you have any questions about Microsoft, new Microsoft products, training, testing, anything, and Google. So welcome, Donna, founder of Most Training. Where's our...
Hey, Donna, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Are you able to hear me?
We are able to hear you.
Yeah.
Pardon?
We are able to hear you. You're fine.
Okay. We were just adjusting some audio, so just want to make sure.
Yep.
But thanks. Fun to be here.
I'm excited that you're fine. I was like, how have you not been on our show before? You and I always do a lot of things together, and we always talk about iPad and mobile working and fun things like that. But you and I have been talking a lot about Google products, Google apps, and especially Google Drive. And so I'm excited to really understand Google Drive better and whether it's worth switching from. I'm a Dropbox loyal, so we're going to talk about that. But I started to show this app before we actually went live on the show. I downloaded the NBC Olympics app, and I don't know if any of you have this, but it's great for those of you who are not watching the Olympics live. It's great if you are as well, because you can follow along things and chat with people about different sports and slam the commentators, whatever you want. But it's actually pretty cool because you can choose an event and watch the live video of their event. So Missy's, spoiler alert, in case you haven't seen last night's news or live event, if I wanted to see Missy's swim, that you can watch live, you can watch the video, you can chat with the groups that are watching it as well. So it's actually pretty cool, and it has lots of statistics and interesting facts about London that we're finding helpful because we're going to be heading out there after the Olympics. So I like it. I don't know if anyone else has downloaded that, or have you been following along using any like Get Glue, which is another social TV watching app. Donna, do you do any of that type of stuff?
The Get Glue?
Yeah.
I have not used. I know what it is, but I haven't used it. But I know you have.
I have. Every once in a while I try. If we're actually sitting and watching television, which it's rare, but I'll log into Get Glue, and what Get Glue is it allows you to be social with other people who are watching the exact same program. So you check into, let's say, the Olympics, or you check into Through the Wormhole, it was something Cosmos last week that we were watching, and I logged in, and it was interesting because you see people throwing out interesting questions and statements and things about the show. So it's a fun way especially things like the Olympics or a big sporting event, you can chat with others about it, and it shows up in your Twitter stream if you want it to, but it can also be a standalone tool. So fun way to be social as you're watching the big Olympics. Do you have a favorite sporting event, Rick and Donna?
No, my husband has all the favorite sporting events.
And I like some. I like the gymnastics, though it's sort of interesting now watching gymnastics because everybody's about 4 feet tall. And it's just sort of odd watching him come in and watching him leave. It's like little munchkins. So I don't know, it's sort of interesting. I remember not that long ago, maybe 20 years ago, the Olympians weren't that small, at least the gymnasts.
Yeah. What's the most
No, I just like the gymnastics. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's fun
It
watching.
is very
them.
fun, yeah.
Though we were commenting that one thing was really noticeable. Now, if you look at the gymnastics, they don't have that real ballet training that they had during the Romanian and the Russian reign of gymnastics. It's different. It's not as I guess aesthetic as it used to be. They're not bad, but they don't have that real ballet training like they used to. That's just one thing I've noticed.
That's an observation. I did not pick up on that, but I need to pay more attention. I look at it and go, how in the world did they do that?
Yeah,
okay, what is the most random sport that you have found yourself watching during the Olympics? Like that you just go, why am I watching ping pong? That was mine. I sat for an hour and I was going, why did I just sit for an hour watching?
I'm mesmerized by ping pong. How do they keep it? Where they keep it? I actually like to watch the ping pong.
Ping pong's fun, especially since they're playing 25 feet away from the table. It's amazing the speed at which they play.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Skill.
Leva said she just watched synchronized diving. Didn't even know that existed. I know. Isn't it funny that some of the things you're going, that's a sport. Doubles badminton. How is that a sport? I don't know. But you know what I haven't seen? I haven't seen like the ribbon twirlers because that's, I think, the only sport I'm qualified for.
Well, actually, I think on NBC, the best sport they've done so far is idiot announcing. But that's another issue.
That's Rick. He's going into his curmudgeon mode again.
Yeah, I don't like the constant interruptions. But anyway.
Yeah. But, okay, so we'll dive in. And again, the whole discussion around social media and the Olympics is a huge thing. I think there'll be a lot of lessons learned when we come out of this to really look at how live events can coexist with social media. And you cannot put restrictions on what people are allowed to share because they're going to share it anyway.
Gina, I'm not sure if Gina, that may be you with the feedback. I'm not sure. Do you have another speaker on?
No.
Are
you hearing echo or are you hearing
echo? A little bit of echo.
I hear a growl, like there's a lion somewhere.
Unless it's just Skype. Could be Skype.
You know what? I'm going to plug in a headset in a second here. But, sound check in the chat room. How does it sound to everyone? Now, the drilling you are now hearing is the construction still going on here.
Oh, so that is construction. Okay.
That was not a minute ago, though.
Okay. Well, anyway, you know what? It's time to get driving.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Google Drive. I think we've all got questions and curiosity. Donna, what exactly is Google Drive? Is more than just Dropbox, correct?
Yes, you're right. It is more than Dropbox. It is, if you want to first start with a comparison of Google Drive versus Dropbox, they're both file storage systems that allow you to sync and have accessibility from multiple devices. Now, but it's actually much more than that because Google Drive, once it's installed, it becomes your Google Docs. So you're able to access your Google Docs from Google Drive. So consider it one more bonus tool to your Google tools.
Okay.
Okay, so my question is, for a business that's already using Dropbox,
yes.
How do you compare the two of them? Because from what I could tell, it looks like the storage that they give you in the beginning is the same. The costs are pretty comparable. Is there a feature that one has, except for the fact that Google Doc obviously just automatically pulls if you're a big Google Doc user? But if you're new to Google, even Google Docs, what would be the decision-making feature, in your opinion, one way or the other?
And that's a good question. And I think that it boils down to Is my world Google? Am I running my business from within Google, whether that's Google Apps, Google Docs, which we're going to talk about what the differences are between those later. So if I'm living in Google Docs and running my business, then having Google Drive is convenient because I don't have to worry with another application outside of the Google environment. They are very similar. They do the same things. Just like when you install Google Drive, you're going to automatically get 5 gigabytes of storage space. And then for $2.49 per month, you can go to 25 gigabytes of storage space.
Okay, that's a lot.
They're the same type things. It's just whether or not do you want everything to be centralized to your core operating world. So if your core operating world is Google, then this is another value add for you.
How many companies do you think actually use Google Docs as their main? Because it seems like Office is still the big one. But
Office, you're right, Rick. Office still is the big one, and it seems like the last statistic I read earlier in the week, I want to say that the statistic was that 97% are still using Microsoft Office.
97.
Wow.
So it's very huge. The way that I would compare, and I use both now because I teach both, so I have to stay up to date with both. But if you want a comparison between, why would I want to stay with, say, Microsoft Office versus Google Docs, which I think your original question was, are there a lot of companies using that? And yes, there are, because it's an economics thing. But I consider Microsoft Office like Cinderella going to the ball. You've got everything. And then there's Google Docs, which I consider being business casual. So we're dressing business casual. I still get that professionalism. I still get that great look, that convenience. But all the baubles and the bells and whistles, Microsoft Office has them.
Now, I heard Microsoft Office 2013 is also going subscription and to the cloud really more. So I guess they're trying to compete in that same arena now.
They are trying to compete in the same arena with their Office 365. So here's your difference between Office 365 versus Office 2013. We'll start with Office 2013. Office 2013 is geared very much to the cloud because it has built into it SkyDrive. So for those who are viewing and might not be familiar, SkyDrive is the cloud option for working with some of your Microsoft documents like Word and Excel. Just to mention a couple from within the cloud for collaboration and storage, accessibility. So that's now built into Office 2013. But if, say, a company wanted to go Office 365 route, the Office 365 is a subscription service, and it's the competitor to Google Apps, which we haven't defined yet what the differences are between Google Apps and Google Docs. But so 2013 has all the mobile capabilities built into it. But if a company, say, wanted to go the Office 365 route, that is a subscription route, and it means a big value add on a lot of different levels. For example, IT departments may have less headache because they're not having to worry about updating with all the varying patches, getting the latest version.
That's interesting.
With Office 365, and with that subscription service, Microsoft gives you 5 Microsoft Office installs. So in other words, you can have it on 5 different devices for subscription costs. That's very economical.
Yeah, and I would think Google is appealing to especially for educators. You hear a lot of educators and using Google Docs and Google Drive because of the cost, has always been great for that, and small businesses. And then Microsoft tends to appeal to more of the enterprise. So it'll be an interesting space to look at how these will define, how they'll be defined by these audiences that they tend to appeal to.
Well, you just mentioned enterprise, and that's really an operative word when we start talking about Office 365 versus Google Apps. Now might be a good time to explain to those who are viewing what the differences are, because I think it's confusing, don't you, Gina? But what's Google Docs versus Google Apps?
Right. Because that's what I kept looking at it going, okay, I use Google Docs. I have a Gmail account. I feel like I use all of the products of Google, but I don't really use them as Google Apps for my business.
Right.
and always looked at, okay, why would I move from what I'm currently doing into that role? So yeah, give us like the real simple explanation of Google Apps.
The simple explanation is it's more for an enterprise system. So if I want to move my organization to using Google, then I'll move them to the Google Apps platform. I'll move my organization there. So let's say mosttraining.com is a for example. And let's say Most Training had 500 employees. And I wanted to take advantage of the security that Google promotes with their Gmail. Then I can run my domain on Google Apps. And so instead of it saying donnagilliland@gmail.com, I can still use my branding and it be donnagilliland@mosttraining.com, but it's actually running Gmail. And it means that if I have employees who they don't want to come out of their comfort zone of Microsoft Office, then they can still use their Microsoft Office products even though we're running on the Google Apps platform. So you can have people running both ways, but it's all very seamless. It's behind the scenes, and it's another cost savings as well. So it's more for enterprise.
Okay.
So,
now, would you say there's a certain number of employees that you hit for it to kind of make sense, or is it if you had 4 or 5 employees, would it make sense?
yes. And the collaboration tools that we, well, let me go backwards. It's still that branding again. If I don't want, that's just one small core piece, and then not to mention all the different applications that I have available, the free Google applications as a result of being on the Google Apps platform. And it's very inexpensive per user per month. For someone to join. Certainly less expensive than, say, buying a Microsoft Office desktop version and installing it. But that's also where Office 365 competes, see?
Right, right.
Now, when you go to Drive, because I guess that's an option. I don't know if they're moving everybody automatically to Drive or if you have to go to Drive. I heard that changes a little bit some of the docs you have. Does it cause any issues, or is it pretty much a seamless conversion?
It's a seamless conversion. You can go to drive.google.com. So if you want to go ahead and convert to Google Drive, then you'll go there, and then it's very easy to follow once you do drive.google.com.
Okay.
And there will be an install process because there is an executable that gets downloaded to your desktop level, and then it's installed. And then at that point, you're able to configure what Google Drive actually keeps up with and syncs. And then that way I have it accessible from my desktop, accessible from the cloud. So whenever it does install, which I said before, it's very easy, then you're going to have your Google Drive icon at the bottom, and when you click, you have the option to also open it up on the web, which opens you right in to your Google Docs.
So it's the same thing as Dropbox. You install the application, and then you can save there. You can go to the web, or so it sounds like it's. I mean, in my mind, I keep seeing those two as the same.
But there are other benefits, see, to having Google Drive besides the file syncing. Because once you have Google Drive and you access your Google Docs, you go to the web and you see, your interface for Google Docs. You also have other perks because you have Google Drive. Those perks being that there are 16 different file types that there's a Google viewer for. So if I'm in Gmail and I get a PDF attachment, there's a Google viewer for a PDF file. So there's 6 different file types that Google viewer will allow for because I'm using, I'm now operating under Google Drive.
Okay,
that's
that
interesting.
Makes sense.
Now, have you seen any, or have you heard of any? Well, I've seen one. I'm just thinking out loud as I'm trying to formulate some cohesive thought. But anyway, Dropbox is now offering, I think, the same amount of initial storage. So I guess that was good.
Correct.
Drive comes out immediately. Dropbox says, okay, hey, guess what? We're offering you more,
give you more
storage.
Right.
And I think they doubled everybody else's storage. I think we were paying for something like $40 a year, and they doubled that storage. So they're trying to be very competitive.
Well, go ahead.
Now, what would you say is the main advantage of going with Google Docs, a Google Drive, over something like a Dropbox?
Because if I'm an avid Google Docs user, I want some additional perks while I'm working in Google Docs and Gmail. And I just mentioned one of the perks, which is the 16 different file types, the ability to upload video of varying types in and view there from within my Google Docs, the ability to now tap in to some of the free Google applications that I might not have had unless I was at an enterprise level, which is Google Apps. And so now I can tap into those additional applications that are free that give me more productivity tools at my fingertips by working within Google Docs, which is really Google Drive. So and I know that's confusing for people, but that's what you have. You have Google Docs. It's just now Google Drive with some bonuses.
With bonuses that are part of the Google Apps platform. If you went that route,
right,
you would have those. Okay. It's interesting because in the chat room, Dawn was saying, in her corporate environment, she can't access Google Docs, which is interesting. I never thought about that being blocked because I know Leva was saying she can't access, or she can't in Belgium, Google Hangouts is not available yet. So certain things are available to certain places. And I guess if you work within a company, chances are everyone's using Microsoft. It's like Office is one of those things that's just everywhere within a big enterprise. So I think, Microsoft coming out with the 360 is kind of slow. Like I think it was Dawn or Larry that mentioned Dawn said they're way behind the times, it seems like. But finally it's like, okay, for people that are using those products, there will be something similar, because that's always the biggest thing. And the biggest fear, to be honest, in business was, if my computer crashed, where are those important documents? Obviously we have backups, but you still always worried about, losing them or being on vacation and needing to access something. So the fact that all of this now is available in these different cloud versions is just wonderful for the consumer. Now it's just how we make those decisions, and it just seems like Google is always on top of, kind of innovative in the area of innovation, things that make your life easier. I'm not sure why those aren't so widely adopted in the enterprise level. Maybe we'll see more of that.
Well, there are, if you go and you read within Google Apps for Business, there are major companies who are dropping Microsoft Office in favor of Google Docs. I guess it's more of a what makes sense for that business from an economic standpoint, as well as team collaboration, which Microsoft definitely offers us. But I think that a lot of times it gets down to the economics of it all. And what does the team really need? Do they need all the bells and whistles or not? Because Microsoft Office definitely has the bells and whistles. So if I'm creating, say, a word processing document in Google versus a word processing document in Microsoft Office Word, there is a big difference between my bells and whistles.
Right. No, but one thing I have noticed is that we actually considered in the office going with Google Docs and Gmail as our main Gmail instead of Exchange. It was so convoluted getting, I sent Google 4 emails to support, not one response.
Oh,
and I talked to our MCSE who does a lot of good work, and he said he's actually telling his people to get off of Google Docs because they've had so many problems with Gmail, downtimes. And I haven't seen that as far as any downtime in Gmail. But he said business-wise, he's seen that in some of the accounts he was at. I just find them a little hard to sign up for. They make it not the easiest. And if you have an existing Gmail account that you want to make a different account, that's hard. It's the minute you have an account, it's really hard to switch or tie that to a different account, because then you wind up with all these, I don't know how many Google Mails I have, and half of them.
Which we talked about last week. The whole thing of, when you're trying to tie your YouTube account to a business account so you can have a YouTube channel. It gets really tricky. It gets confusing. It does. Well, you know what the problem is, and this is the same thing with Facebook and any other of these tools. We jumped in when all these things just started, and we started creating all these accounts, and then we learned how to do it right.
That's so true. That's so very true.
You have to backpedal.
So you'll have to teach me one day how to do it right.
And clean up and scramble to right.
Yeah, and I think that's true with this. Is like now taking a step back, saying, okay, if I would have set Google up right and used Google Docs and all the apps in my email correctly, would I not feel so confused? And I keep looking at it going, why does it seem so confusing to me? I'm not sure why not Google Docs, but Google Apps. I'm just always baffled by, okay, wait a minute. I use this. We're just not using the enterprise level is the key.
Well, the other part of that, too, is what you said a moment ago, Gina, is that people will dive in without knowledge first. So they start experimenting and playing before they have all the pieces of the puzzle put together, the knowledge pieces. Yeah. And then there's this mess that has been created. And then, like you said, people have to go and backpedal to clean it up because they didn't know what the requirements are, how to set it up, what the rules are, if you will, of engagement for Google, for Gmail, all of that, not knowing it, and then there's this mess to have to be cleaned up afterwards.
Right. And in the chat room, they're talking about missing WordPerfect. Who remembers WordPerfect?
I used to love WordPerfect.
I remember WordPerfect for DOS. That really did.
Yeah, same here.
Lotus 123. It was like those were our tools, of the day.
I remember whenever we went from WordPerfect, which I thought was, fabulous, and then we went to WordPerfect to Word, and I remember how I felt like I was struggling because I was going to Word. I thought, I hate this. Now, see, I absolutely love Microsoft.
It is funny.
Now I miss a word process. I don't know if you guys remember this one. This is going way back. It was called Lotus Manuscript.
Now, I don't remember Lotus Manuscript.
Now, that was the best. Yeah, that was a great tech writing. And then they got bought into AMI Pro. They got merged into that, and AMI disappeared, and they disappeared, and that was the end of the best technical writing package I've ever had. Anyway.
Interesting. Another thing, I have Mac. I use my Mac for everything, but I always have to load, for other reasons, but I always load Office onto it because I still have not learned how to use Pages on my Mac. And I thought, my daughter opened up and she was working on a school project in Pages and she needed help formatting something. I said, I have no idea. I only know how to format things in Word or PowerPoint. Now I'm pretty versed in Keynote.
Now, do you have Office for the Mac?
I do. Yeah, I do. I
do too. It's not quite as good as the Windows version, at least on Outlook.
I'm not doing as much as I used to. With the formatting, I don't use it as much as I used to, because think about this. We used to 10 years ago, we used to create for business our marketing brochures, and we would use these different tools in Office to create brochures and even business cards. I can remember doing business cards and one sheets for a speaker, and all these things I would create myself. And now everything is, you send them to your website. I give them a link. I don't send out stuff to people. I don't create products that need. So I think now we work on our website and we send people to the website.
Yeah, even if you go to trade shows, you see less and less materials given out. Yeah, maybe a cut sheet and not much more.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Even I don't do as many paper marketing materials as I used to because of the accessibility of things online. I try to go green as much as I can. Even when I deliver presentations, what I usually do is create an accessible page off of my website for those who attend, and then everything that they've seen and we've discussed is accessible from a private page for attendees. And so I give out very few materials now.
Larry just shouts, QR codes.
QR codes.
Larry's right. QR codes are great ways for them to capture the information. So you just have it set up somewhere and then use a QR code to grab it and bring it down. Larry's right.
I wonder if
Larry has the 111 ways to use QR codes. So
that's
you
right.
Can go out to Amazon and get Larry's book, 111 creative ways to use QR codes.
Because he had 110. And then he found one more way.
Well, I heard what Larry does in his spare time is he puts a QR code on his chest and then stands in front of a mirror and gets a recursive effect. So
there was a big debate the other day, speaking of QR codes, in the funeral industry, because we have a lot of our clients that are funeral homes, and it's a strange thing. But we were talking about how right now a big trend that the planners are finding, the funeral planners are finding that people want QR codes on their gravestones so that people can, and that, it's been around for a long time. In Japan, I can remember reading about QR codes on gravestones. But then we started thinking, okay, what happens if nobody maintains that grave and 25 years from now, nobody knows what a QR code is and they think it's like hieroglyphics, you know? So
Well,
it's that whole thing of, will they be
maybe
around?
the answer to that is, but you can, and Larry can probably pop into chat and tell us, but if I'm not mistaken, with some QR codes, depending upon which company you're going through, you can have pictures as your QR codes. So even if that technology went away, Gina, it could they could have the QR created where it's their image.
True.
And then, of course, when you scan, you could get the information like you would in one of the memory cards that we get when we go to funerals. But then the image would still be there as the QR.
I want a giant IMAX screen to come up from the gravestone, and then I come out and I talk to them. And you know what I would do? I would totally do this. I would say, you know, like those annoying voicemails when you call someone and they go, hello, and it pauses. So you go, oh, hey, is Kelly there? And then it says, I'm sorry, what was that? So on my grave, I would have it come out saying, hello, and then I'd pause and then go, I'm sorry, I can't hear you from down here. Just to freak people out, you know.
Yes, in your case, that would be a quit respirating code. Yes.
Oh, good one, QR code. Okay, so Donna, because you're the Microsoft, I just always think, okay, if you have a question about Microsoft products, ask Donna. Are there? I love shortcut tips, and I love kind of like what are the hot tips. And I did just get Office for Mac, and it's 2011, so I didn't get 12. I don't know if there is Office 12.
No.
Well, now, I don't use Office on the Mac, so there is some differences in which Rick could probably speak to. But if you're looking for power tips, is that what you're looking for? Some power tips?
Like, what are some new things that people are learning?
Well, some power tips, not necessarily new, but there's still power tips a lot of people don't know. And I'm going to give you some power tips that quite often you're just a right click away from. And we'll use email as for example. That tends to be the big monster that people have trouble managing and being productive with. For example, I'm a big proponent in email of setting up rules so that when emails come in, they automatically go to a prescribed folder. And you're just a right click away from creating a rule. So if I wanted to create a rule for all emails coming from Gina Schreck with a specific subject line, then I can just right-click on that email in Microsoft Office Outlook and choose to create a rule. And from there, it's fairly self-explanatory for a baseline rule like that. All emails from Gina Schreck with this subject line. But you would need to make sure you had a folder for that email to automatically go to, and that would have to be done before you create the rule, which you're just a right-click away from. You can go to your inbox, which is one massive folder that everything's coming into, right-click inbox and choose to create a folder, give it a name, create it, and then go back and create your rule. And another power tip for email is, you know, often we get emails where there's contact information in the email, but we don't have a contact for you in the Microsoft contacts database. Well, you're just a drag drop away from creating a contact from the contents of an email. So you could click on an email and drag it and drop it over your navigation pane on the left on top of the contacts button, and when you let go, then you're going to have a contacts form, and certain things will already be plugged in, and other things you'll have to cut and paste to the appropriate fields. And the same applies for creating an appointment, a calendar appointment, or a task from an email. It's all a drag and drop to the appropriate button on the left.
Those are great tips. Yeah, those are really great. You know, it's just those little things, and I always say rules in your email are so important, and I have so many folders in my email. The problem is when I set up a rule and it automatically goes to that folder, it's kind of one of those out of sight, out of mind. I forget to check that folder.
Well, I live in the unread folder, so that way I know what I've got to get to. Of course, the problem is when you have a lot of folders and you're scrolling in your unread and you always miss things anyway.
Yeah. Well, or you accidentally click on it and it moves it out of the unread and you forget to go back and check it.
Yep.
Yeah. What I suggest is that you create folders for things that aren't quite so mission critical. For example, I, like many of you, sign up for varying online tech journals. Well, now, I don't necessarily read those during the course of the day. I might wait till the night. Well, I set up folders in Microsoft Outlook so that those emails coming from those tech journals automatically go to those folders. because I'll go back and read them when I want to. I don't have to worry that I missed that I got the latest issue came in today. So that's what I tend to use my folders for.
You know, I just had an aha moment. I get thousands of emails, and I keep thinking, and I got most of it organized. I've never organized all those tech journals, which tend to pile up by the dozens into a tech journal folder. I got to do that.
To be read later.
Yeah, because they just clog up the inbox big time.
Because I use Gmail, and I shout out to Gina Carr. Hey, Gina, in the chat room. She was saying she does the same thing in Gmail, because then I use Gmail, and I have my Reading on the Go folder, which really should be retitled Never Will Read. But I put things in the Reading on the Go file. There's so much to read. I mean, we have so much information coming at us that I got to get to that. And so setting up folders and then the rules, same thing.
That makes a big difference. And for all those of you who don't know, Gmail stands for Gina Mail.
It does. And all the Ginas in the world know that. Anything with a G.
That's right.
You know. And think of the word imagination. I'm a Gina-shun. I mean, that's how I pronounce it. There's so many things that Gina.
It could also stand for Gilliland Mail.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right, Rick.
I'm a Gina-shun. All of us Gina Carr saying yes.
Well, all you lovely G's out there, and you two in the show, it's our time to say goodbye. We've been on for about
like
45 minutes. Yeah, it's about 45 minutes. Donna, hey, it's as always a pleasure to have you on.
I appreciate being invited.
Sorry we had that little mix-up on the Skype, but...
It wouldn't be the world of technology, Rick.
That's true. Hey, actually, Skype held up today. We're having a good connection with everybody, so that's good.
Which I'm curious, because my sound, I keep hearing sound kind of fade and come out, so I'm curious if that's just on my end.
You've been mostly good.
Mostly good.
No, I've heard a little fading, but it wasn't from you. It just everybody was fading a little bit. That's Skype. Yeah. That's just Skype.
One more time, Donna, tell us.
That if your questions, weren't answered, if there's some questions you still have pending about Google Drive versus Google Docs versus Google Apps, Office 13, Office 365, please feel free to either email me at train@mosttraining.com, just one T in the name, or you can always come hang out with me on Facebook at facebook.com/mosttraining, again, one T in the name, and post your questions there. I'm more than glad to answer.
By the way, did you do your own website? You have a really good website.
Thank you for that. I had input to the design of the website, but I did not create the website.
Okay, very, very nicely done.
Who did your website?
But now the intro video that says Meet Donna. Right. Now, Film Dog Media, Mark Ward, did that professional video for me.
Great.
Awesome, and that's where you are today. Another shout out to Mark over at Film Dog Media.
Week, so yeah, that's where I'm at today. And again, I want to thank Mark, because he's been my audio guy in the background and the camera guy in the background. I just wish I could carry Mark everywhere. I'd be good to go.
Yeah. Well, tell him we need him at times too. Trust me.
But I don't think I can afford to carry Mark Ward, Film Dog Media, with me everywhere.
That's right.
I appreciate being invited. I hope everyone learned a few new things in the process.
Yeah, we've got to have you back on again too.
Great. Yeah, very good. I'm going to go check out Google Drive. I'm going to give it a test drive.
Okay, I'm expecting to hear feedback from you afterwards.
Yeah, I think I have to try it too.
I'm going to try it, and I'm off to go do a few laps to get ready for my 400 medley tonight.
400 medley.
So look for it on Twitter, and I'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one, everybody. If you're in the chat room, thanks for being there, and we will see you guys next week on SchreckTeck. Thanks, Donna.
Thank you.
Bye, Gina.
Bye.